Today I'm looking at talking about if you watched the other previous video, I mentioned that I'll be doing 2 videos today, and this is the second video, which talks about how to raise your seedlings, how to properly manage your seedlings to get the best out of them. So wouldn't waste much time, we'll just have to get right into it. We would look at the basics requirement for raising seedlings. The first of it is the seed. The second would be the medium in which you are growing or you are raising them. And then the third would be the care. I would not speak about the seed because we've already had a conversation about it in the previous video. If you've not watched the video yet, I'll leave the description in the link in the description so that you can actually go back to watch the information on seeds and growing with which particular seed. But here I'll begin with the medium. Okay, so over here at farmland, we make our own medium. We use OPMED. OPMED is a short form of organic plant medium. You already know we do organic farming over here. There is nothing that we do that is not organic farming. So I mean, I don't have to even explain that bit. But organic plant medium is just a way we've been able to put together certain basic requirements of the plants and that it would not really get in the soil, or that would get in the soil and more. Yes, so that's what OPMED is. And OPMED is the material basic as from the peat moss. So the peat moss is very good for plants in terms of it allows more aeration, it allows the plant roots to be able to enjoy loosely all the requirements that it should. The roots don't really struggle to get access to water, nutrients, walking and all those things. It doesn't really struggle to do that. So that's the advantage of OPMED. Also, we've incorporated the nutrient requirements in the medium already. So if you are looking at starting with a medium, soilless medium, okay, then OPMED is the answer for you. Okay, so that aside, there are 2 forms of or 2 mediums in which you can actually raise your seedlings. One is the soil, and then the 2 is a soilless medium. There are other mediums, but those are very professional level. They are very professional level. But for now, the 2 easily accessible, or as a starter or as a farmer, the ones that you can easily access is the 2. That's the soil and the soilless. And the soil is the ones we have in the farm, the compost, the loamy soil, the normal backyard soil or garden soil, they call it. If you even go to your farm, the soil in the farm is what usually you can use to raise seedlings. And then we have the soilless. And the soilless, just like the OPMED I mentioned, allows a lot more easy growth of the plant. It makes the plants grow faster, especially you control the amount of nutrients in there. So it makes the plants grow faster. It also allows the water to drain at a very controlled level, because you don't want the water to stay longer around the base of the plant, which allows the promotion of fungi, which would you would see the plant there and it has fallen. Yes, just the base around the soil area usually gets infected with fungi, and they would kill the plants. So you don't have that when you are growing with the soilless medium. The water is always draining well, draining quickly as it's supposed to be, or medium as it's supposed to be. And you will also have problem with having to always be spraying chemicals and everything on it just to make sure that you are driving away this fungi that would thrive on the plant. So that's the advantages of soilless medium. And also one very big difference between the soil and the soilless would also be the soilless medium comes out with the composition, so you don't get the root damaging when you are actually bringing the plant out. And because of that, you can transplant it in the afternoon, morning, evening. When the sun is even hot, you can transplant, because the soil, the plant is not going to be affected with any transplant shock, because the roots are not really disturbed. You can transplant any crop at all, with the exception of carrot, which usually doesn't do well when you nest. That is also because the root system or the root structure is such a way that the taproot is the plant or the crop or the fruit. So if you disturb the taproot, you're going to have a crooked fruit, which you would not want to do that. So it's more important that you don't nest carrots. The soilless medium has those advantages. The disadvantage with soilless media is you have to be very active with the plants. Okay, you have to be giving it water almost every day or every 2 days. But if you go beyond that, you are not going to get either germination, or you are not going to get the plants growing properly. You are going to have stunted growth, maybe, because water will not be really available, and there is no way of it getting extra water, because the root is always contained in a small container or a small area where it doesn't go further to go and search for anything. So you have to also be sure the sun is really coming out again. You have to make sure that you always keep the water how it's supposed to go. Every day or every 2 days, you have to give it the water it requires, until it becomes a canopy where it saves the water under it from the sun. That's when you might give it 2 days or 3 days. Yeah, so that's for the soilless media, the disadvantage. The other disadvantage is that you are the only person who supplies the nutrient it needs. So if it runs out of nutrients, it would not go searching. You would have to be the one to introduce it. You would see, usually you will see the leaves telling you that it needs nutrients. So if you are doing organic farming, then you know what to use. If you are doing inorganic, you know what to use. So basically that's for the soilless media. Now let's go to the soil media. And the soil media is, as I mentioned, the backyard soil or the garden soil or whatever it is. Usually you pick the soil that crusts less, and that is the best soil, will be the loamy soil, because it doesn't really crust. If you have soil that crusts, you're not going to have a lot of germination, because the seeds are impeded with hard surface. It will not come out, so it germinates and die down there. You don't have a lot of germination, you can't save seeds. And secondly, when you have soil that crusts the more, it means that it will harden. Before you get water to the roots, you would have to pour more water to get the surface to dissolve before the water can actually go down there. So you need to consider using loamy soil. Now there is the disadvantage to the soil. The advantages are that, one, the nutrients are readily given to you by nature, although you don't know what the composition of the nutrients are, in what percentages, but you know there is nutrients. And depending on what you are raising, you can probably introduce nutrients as time goes on. Through, you already know the means that you should do that. If you don't know, I'm going to do a video to teach you about fertilization, so you'll be able to know. But then again, the soil allows you to get your nutrients ready. The soil doesn't stress you to pay more to get your medium, okay? Because soilless mediums is usually expensive. If you're a professional farmer, you will consider it as it's not expensive, but as a starter, maybe you'd have consideration the cost involved. Soil is free, but soilless media comes with a fee, so that's why I said it's expensive. So yeah, the soil has those disadvantages. The advantage the disadvantage, no, the advantage rather, the disadvantages has it's been it produces it helps the fungi thrive. Based on where you actually nursing it, you have transplant shock mostly when you are doing transplanting, and then but it would keep a lot more water than the soilless media would, so to produce bacteria and fungi. You have to be introducing fungicide most of the time, which if you're an organic farmer, it's really a headache. Yeah, no, that's with the media. So we usually prefer to go soilless because the soilless media has a lot of advantages. In fact, seeds are expensive, so you have to make sure every single seed counts. I mean, seeds are very expensive. So if you look at, even if you look at the base of the plant, you can see that they have been planted strategically in every cell, and that helps us get all the seeds or most of the seeds to germinate. The important thing is if you are nursing, you always have to nurse an extra crate, because even the seed companies are saying that the germination is between 85 to 90%. So it means you are going to have probably 15 or 10% not germinating. So you need to make a room for that. That's why we do the nursery. But if you are doing it on the ground, which is soil media, then you are not going to notice the difference. So until you are transplanting, you don't know whether what you have is enough or not. But I can sit here and I'll be able to tell the number of seedlings I have here, because each cell is counted, and then we know which cells didn't germinate. So I know exactly how many plants I have here. And if somebody orders for a seed tray, I know how much or what quantity I have to supply to the person. So that's with the soilless media. Now let's go to the care. So when you are doing soilless media, the care is usually very close. You are going to have to be giving water almost, as I said, every day or every 2 days. Because the bottom of the crates are made, there are holes there, there are perforated holes there that allows the water to drain at a good rate. So you're gonna have to be introducing the water. And also you have to be sure that whilst you are nursing it, you are protecting it, because usually the soilless media, you want to begin nursing it in an enclosed environment, and then harden it with time. Okay, so it's more crucial that you raise it in an enclosed place, and in an enclosed place means that you have to be moving the trays around. Which you are doing indoors, you have to make sure that it gets the right amount of sun it needs to get at the time it needs to get it. All these things are important when you're raising the seedlings in an enclosed environment. Okay, and when you're doing with the soil, you have to be spraying your fungicide alternatively every week. So you would pick every Friday, assuming you pick 2 fungicides or 3 if you can afford. Usually I would, if you are doing inorganic farming, then I would encourage you to check on copper. You get copper, any fungicide with copper inside, and you get any fungicide. I think one is called mangozep or something. I don't know, but I think it's called that. It's a very powdered fungicide that usually they use. You get those 2 every week. You alternate. So if you don't alternate, the fear is that the fungi would adapt. The more you give it, it adapts to it, and so you will spray it and it will lick it for you. You see the bacteria and then the fungi licking the fungicide, which is supposed to actually kill them. So you alternate them so that they don't become used to it and adapt to it. And you do it almost every week. So every one is supposed to go for 2 weeks. And the lifespan of nursery, everybody knows, is between 4 to 6 weeks. It depends on what you are germinating. Pepper goes longer, tomatoes is shorter. So you have to make sure until you are transplanting, even after transplanting, you have to be rotating with the fungicide if you are doing soil, because you definitely have to battle, especially when you're in the rainy season. The risk multiplies. If you are doing an enclosed environment like this, where you are raising in trees, you don't care about rain, you don't really care about what's happening, because the rain would not affect the plants, but the soil would allow the rain to affect the plants, sprinkling the bacteria back onto the leaves. So you have that problem. Yeah, so I think that's most about it. You need to be paying attention every now and then to the language of the plant. If the plant is giving you a yellowish look, how does it say? As I mentioned in the beginning, if you have an agronomist, they speak that language. If you don't understand the coloration, which is the language of the plants, you get an agronomist. And it's important to have an agronomist if you are not an agronomist. So I will not sit here and tell you what it means, because that's the work of an agronomist. As a farmer, you need to have an agronomist. Yeah. So that's just about it. So yes, usually when we use these crates, we don't. Let me see if I can pick this one here. We don't. Oh, sorry, I cannot. They are overgrown. I don't want to disturb them. When you pick these crates, you don't want to put soil in there. You want to put soilless medium, because when you put soil in these crates, they don't do the work that they are supposed to do. You are just causing more damage, because you are going to compress the soil, and it will just not be the best. So if you are not using trays and you are doing it on the ground, the little tip I have for you is that plant in trenches. So I would upload a picture for you to see how you're going to make the trenches. So make trenches and then plant, sprinkle along the trenches. Don't just pick the seed and broadcast. No. Those days when we used to do that is over now, because you're going to have a lot of wastage. You're going to have some of them crowding at a place, some of them just partly. I mean, the best thing to do is create trenches and evenly sprinkle the seeds in there. Don't cover it back with the sand because of the crust I mentioned earlier. Use sawdust, okay? Sawdust. Use sawdust to fill to the brim, cover to the brim, and water every 2 days. So in that way, you don't have a problem of crusting, and also it saves a lot of water, because it's more like mulching. Okay, so all the advantages of mulching comes in play. You don't have to be the headache of watering almost every single day or every 2 days or whatever it is. You can have enough moisture saved there that would not actually be water, but moisture. So bacteria and fungi will have it the other way around. They will not really thrive unless you are overwatering them. That's when you would have a lot of headache. But sawdust, the fine sawdust, lets water go easily, but it will settle on the soil. So the sawdust will act as a mulch and prevents the water from evaporating. So you have the plant accessing the water mostly, especially when they are younger. And whilst they are growing, the care would help the sawdust stick to the plant. So when you are transplanting, you move every single nutrient you gave it at that particular time, you move it with the plant to the demarcated area for transplanting. That's a tip I can actually give you. And another tip is that if you are doing inorganic farming, mix the water that you are using to irrigate the nursery, not the farm, the nursery. Mix just a small quantity of your fertilizer, whether it is ammonia or it is NPK 1515. Mix it in a barrel with the water. Make sure it's not too much, because then it will burn the leaves. Mix very small quantity. Probably if you are using the drum, the big drum, the blue drum that you usually use in a farm to do spraying, you mix probably my palm, yeah, or probably lesser than my palm, in the whole barrel, and use that to water the plant. So in that way, you're going to have the plants consuming nutrients step by step, stage by stage, and they will always have nutrients available to them, but you are not actually going to bombard them with the nutrients that they cannot be able to grow or they'll burn off. Yeah, because you don't know the quantity of nutrients in the ground unless you've tested the soil and are sure that the soil can actually promote the growth. And usually when there is a problem in one area, when you're doing on the ground, there's a problem in one area, you'd have a problem if you don't remove the ones surrounding that area, because then it spreads quickly rather. So when you're doing on the ground, make sure when you just spot an area where the fungi has begun, it begins in an area, just a small portion, and it begins spreading. If you see that, move all the plants around that area and give it space. So giving a space will not allow the bacteria or the fungi to travel across, because the more you water, the more the water sprinkles onto different plants, because it does not fly. It's usually being carried by pests, but I'm sure if you are doing your fungicides and your pesticides, you are not going to have them flying around. So it's you who would carry them from one plant to the other. If you are doing plant inspection, don't touch the leaves directly. Use gloves. It's important. Use gloves so that you don't transfer the bacteria to the plants. Those are the tips I have for you. If you have any question or if there is something I've not touched on, you can actually reach me on social media. You already know my handles, Veggie Father everywhere. I'm on X mostly, active mostly on X, but you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, you can find me, YouTube, you can send your comments. Please share your videos with people who actually want to learn farming. I am actually not doing this because I need anything other than to help get some of you to join the farming journey. It's very important that you have information as to how to begin farming. When I began farming, it was just one person I knew who brought me into the farming journey, which was not something even I planned to do. But I couldn't access enough information online. You know, the Obodo Ibo people have their techniques and they are commercial farmers. They don't have time to show you videos or teach you those things. So you will not get enough information. And the information you're going to get online right now is from gardeners. Okay, people who are doing gardening, small farming, backyard farming and things. And those people have different principles. Some of them are even YouTubers, solely YouTubers. And because of that, they are just doing everything for content. And a commercial farmer would not have time to be sharing the information that you need. So when I started farming, I didn't get enough information, but I felt it's important that the information is there so that some people who don't really understand how farming is or don't know where to begin would actually have access to the information that we are talking about here. So share the video and let anybody who thinks farming is not doable to know that we can do farming and become rich farming. I mean, you can become rich farming. I am a full-time farmer. I don't know what you are saying. I mean, I'm a full-time farmer. So I can tell you for a fact that it works. You just have to know how. And this is what we are presenting to you today. So thank you very much for your time. I've had a lot of requests. To be honest with you, I'm overwhelmed with the requests that came to actually come to the farm and farm with me, some way of learning. I wish I could actually allow all of you to come on board. I wish I could just get everybody to come on board, but I really didn't plan on that. I didn't have that idea in mind to have a lot of people coming to the farm to learn. So day visits are cool. I mean, bringing people to come and learn a day or two, it's good. But to come and stay with me, I mean, there are a lot of logistics I have to go into. And because of that, I have put a lot of you on hold. Okay, it's not that I'm rejecting it, I'm putting it on hold because I need to get logistics, accommodation, feeding, all those things ready for you to come. And if you come and you can't get a place to sleep, that doesn't really make sense. So I need to get those things ready. So I'm giving some of you, I've gotten in contact with some of you and I've given the chance that you can come on board. So The rest that I've not given the green light yet, please permit me to get access to all the logistics that is needed for you to be able to come to the farm and learn. But whilst that is ongoing, I'm also going to be hosting periodically. I'm going to be hosting a seminar, both physically and online, to be teaching these things. And adding that to my YouTube, I'm sure you can be able to access enough information that you need. So please bear with me if you are not being called to come to the farm yet. I would call you. But for now, please allow me to get my house in order. Okay, so once again, thank you very much. It's Veggie Father, and I love you. Stay safe, share the video, and please, once again, like the videos and share your comments. I want to be able to see your comments and answer your questions, because I know you have questions. Put them in the comment section. Okay, see you.